Okay, this story pissed me off. The movie theaters are coming back this week, and Mashable decides to put out what I basically think is a hit piece by Adam Rosenberg. Flat out says, titled, "Just please don't go to the movies when theaters reopen." Okay? Well, here's what he tries to say. So, two of the biggest theater chains in the U.S. will be opening by the end of August. AMC Theaters and Regal Cinemas in particular. So, they both seem to think they have this thing figured out with nearly identical guidelines. So he says that everything's good and correct. Masks are required. By the way, he doesn't tell us how often he goes to the movies. So, first of all, if he's not a moviegoer, I don't know how much credence I take it to him where he says anything. But, I mean, reading this story, I don't see him talking about movie going at all. So you tell me where he says anything about it, because he doesn't. So that's why I want to bring up my point here with Adam Rosenberg first off. Now, masks are required. Hand sanitizer will be everywhere. Employees will be tested regularly. Both chains are limiting theater occupancy. AMC taking more aggressive stance, 30% occupancy. Regal will be 50% capacity, whether required by state or county mandate. Now, he goes real political here. So if you live in a state or county presided over an unhinged anti-masker, oh my God. Okay. Visiting means you may be dealing with a packed house, though there needs to be at least two empty seats between each group. On the other hand, Regal is promising to increase the fresh air intake in theaters, meaning moviegoers won't breathe in as much recirculated air. Okay. What the fuck is that all about with unhinged anti-masker? What is wrong with you? I don't know where you're coming from, but this is a chain. Both of these chains are going to be asking for people to wear masks upon entering the building, or else they can't come in. So where are you coming from with this? Why are you starting off such unhinged yourself, Adam? Now, in other words, I'm moving along here. He says that there's guidelines about cycling fresh air into theaters, and AMC will be using certain air filters into their cooling system. So Adam here says, is that a really good idea of these air filters? That he says they're capable of capturing an airborne virus, but supplies are reportedly short. Are movie theaters really the best home for them when places like schools and government offices also need them? Okay. What is this guy trying to do to go ahead and kind of just Really, he wants to killjoy the entire movie experience for those that want to go back to the movies. Okay, some of you don't have Broadway, you don't have live concerts, you don't have anything to go to. Okay, I'm able to go to church, all right, and we have crowds, and I've been going, for 3 months now. No problems. Meanwhile, if churches can come back open, all right, and the movie theaters are back open, same thing, enclosed environment. Everybody's spread out. Everybody's wearing a mask. Everybody is socially distancing. No problem. That's all there is to it. If there was a case, otherwise we would have heard something. And they also do the same thing in these churches. They disinfect on a regular basis their entire facility thoroughly. Now, moving along here. Are movie theaters really the best home for places? And like he says, sets of guidelines they're placing extra emphasis on cleaning protocols and the efforts that each chain is taking to sanitize commonly touched surfaces. Those are good and sensible precautions to be sure. Theaters are filled with commonly touched surfaces, while we should all be careful never to touch like to touch ourselves in the places where we might be able to have contact to ourselves to offer, where we might go ahead and, if we contract something, we might inject ourselves, or we might, create some kind of contamination to ourselves through a particular eyelid or hands or mouth or nose and all this bullshit he's saying about getting COVID. Now, he's asking if the guidelines would actually take the full scope of COVID-19 risk into the account. All right, anyways. He says maintaining social distancing in theaters, reduce occupancy seating is smart. Selling concessions and giving moviegoers an excuse to take off their masks, on the other hand, is not. You go to fucking restaurants, and this is the same thing you do there. Again, what is wrong with you, Adam? So they'll be opening up concession stands on day one. Menus will be limited. Drinking popcorn refills won't be allowed, but the plain fact is anybody will be able to walk into a theater, buy a giant tub of popcorn, have an excuse to keep their mask off while they munch on a snack throughout the whole 2-hour movie. Okay, so you want us to be like fucking China, where for a 2-hour movie, no concessions, nothing. You are a fearmonger, you fucking piece of shit. I don't like taking people on, but you know what? You are fucking with what I enjoy as a moviegoer. Okay, they already have enough trouble trying to keep themselves afloat for 5 months without anything to do. If they can open it back up safely, let them, you dumb fuck. Of course he goes after the president. We see where his real thoughts are. Referring to the president as Captain Moron in the White House. What does that have to do with anything? I know people have their opinions, okay, but again, we're talking about movies, and you're bringing up the President of the United States. For what? So he says here, you'll get plenty of people marching in the theaters and ripping off their masks as soon as trailers get started in some kind of misguided political action. You know what? Do you really think people are going to just go in and just take their mask off like that? Do you really think people are just that dumb and stupid? Do you go to a fucking movie theater? You prick. Why are you putting out this kind of fear-mongering bullshit? What is wrong with you? I understand the concessions are a big moneymaker for theaters. Are you sure? How can they not be given the criminally high prices theater chains charge? Well, that's what they do. We all go to the movie theaters. You don't have to go. And by the way, that's probably why you do not go to the movie theaters at all. But you're writing this story just to create fear. When all you're doing is putting out anger on myself, then I'm frustrated to have to read a stupid article like this from you, Adam. I mean, all due respect, fuck off. You think you're really helping people out here. You're just you're just trying to cause trouble. Do you understand you don't care about the financial aspects for these companies, these stockholders and shareholders, by putting out a story like this on Mashable with no facts, with nothing to, support your argument. You are just doing this because you are unhinged, my friend. That's what you're doing. And I don't say my friend literally. I'm just saying it as a figment of just speech here. Figure of speech. There you go. I look at walking into a movie theater, which he probably doesn't do, Adam, at the height of a pandemic. At the height of a pandemic, we're on the way back out of it, you schmuck. I'm trusting the business to protect me and my fellow attendees. Are you even going to come out and watch Unhinged with Russell Crowe? I truly believe not. I don't think this guy is even going to the movie theater, okay? I can almost put money on it. Somebody tell me if Adam Rosenberg actually goes to the movie theater. And I don't want to know. I don't want him to be followed or anything like that. But I want to see if he actually writes back and says something about this, because I'm sure this will be the only story he says. Again, this is a hit piece. He wanted to put this out. This is what they do. Again, Mashable. This is a tech blog, and they're going to talk about movie theaters. This is what they're going to do because they have nothing else better to do. Nothing else to talk about. So we're going to go ahead and scare the shit out of people going to movie theaters. People go to stores with masks on. People go to church. They go to restaurants. They go with masks on. But for whatever reason, you think that people don't do that, and you're scared about it, then please stay the fuck home. Go watch Netflix. Do not come to the movie theaters. Okay? We don't need to hear from you. I am confident with what AMC and Regal are doing individually to keep themselves, the disinfecting equipment. They don't even talk about that in the story. Like, I'm looking right here. You don't even bring up do you bring up the disinfecting machines, the money they're putting into it? Do you even know the fucking part about how AMC is going to be charging more per ticket and onto the concessions to pay for the additional resources they're putting into this? No, you are not. You fucking twit. He says, unfortunately, the objective reality of the past 6 months tells us that large segments of the U.S. population give exactly zero shits about their fellow Americans. No, let's turn that around, Adam. You give zero shit about anybody that doesn't read your blog, doesn't read this post. That's what you're doing. Large segments of this is a politically charged piece. We know what your bias is. I could give two shits about that, but you want to inject this thing like a poison pill throughout the whole fucking article. You say nothing about the movie industry, what they're doing, what's being done to go and actually done. How about actually, if you're not going to say anything about it, why don't you fucking actually read about the evidence, okay? I don't see you saying anything. So you don't link anywhere about what AMC and Regal Theaters are doing. I've already talked about it on this program. Go scroll back if you're listening, Adam. But really, you don't say anything about this. All you're doing is full on trigger. You want to completely try to isolate and try to bully moviegoers to not go to the movie theaters. Are you working for Netflix? Are you working for Hulu? Who told you to go and write this? Who sold you, paid you to do this hit piece? You don't know what you're talking about. You are full of shit. That's what you are. Full of shit. You are triggered and you give nothing in terms of any real context as to what's being done. Okay? You mentioned the fact that they are doing what they're doing with concessions, the social distancing, the masks, the sanitization. You don't even say anything about what they're doing with staggering theaters, staggering show times, the limited amount of shows being done, and the actual disinfecting process they're going to be doing. They bought defoggers, you fuckhead. They have bought machines that will sanitize, dry sanitize every fucking chair in every theater in the movieplex. But no, we want to make sure to, let's go ahead and omit that part, young Adam. Why don't you talk about that? And why don't you, before you say anything else, why don't you go ahead and just maybe, give us an experience of the movie theater and kind of make a reason as to what makes you the legitimate arbiter of truth about the movie theaters. Do you go? Okay, I go 40 to 45 movies a year. I have a subscription plan through Regal Unlimited, all right? I doubt, if you're worried about concession prices and you're worried about people just taking masks off, what are you thinking, man? What is this, like Attack on the Living, or what is this, like the fucking The Walking Dead? What is wrong with you? You truly don't give a shit about the movie industry. You shouldn't have written this story, but you did. And you're allowed to do that. I just hope people will call this out. But you know what? You wrote this story. Good on you. Free speech. Rock on. But I'm going to go ahead and use my free speech to call you to fuck out for this stupid article. This is an idiotic take. I've been told I've made idiotic takes, and that's fine. But I can also call it idiotic takes when I see it. This is moronic. You are more the moron for even putting out the story. You offered nothing new in this story. You took yourself to put 500 plus words in here that say nothing. It is all opinion. There isn't, honestly, I don't read anything right now that says, the only thing I learned about this story is what you said. Okay, there's a couple little scant things you say that anybody can go look for. AMC Theaters returns August 20th, Regal Cinemas August 21st. The masks, the hand sanitizer, seating capacity, that's it. Otherwise, you are completely talking out of your asshole. That's all there is to it. And it has nothing to do with politics, but you want to inject your politics into this. Anyway. Trust is the most valuable commodity a business can invest at this point in the pandemic, which I'm sure you don't know anything about business. You're a writer, okay? I'm sure you couldn't probably put any kind of writing together to create your own blog, but yet you get the opportunity to work at Mashable to put out this bullshit. Every bit of evidence, now here we go. Every bit of evidence out there suggests that movie theaters are danger zones. Where the fuck do you read that? What makes you think that they're danger zones? You are calling them that. People do not have to go to the movie theater. Okay? You calling them danger zones? I'll make sure to go ahead and make sure AMC and Regal read this story, this hit piece that you guys decided to do. And you're tagging AMC and Regal Theaters. You have a bone to pick with them. I noticed you didn't pick Cinemark. I noticed you didn't pick any of the other theaters. You decided to go after the biggest names in theaters of AMC and Regal. Why? Is Universal Studios putting you up to this? Is Disney putting you up to this? Are the streaming services putting you up to this? What makes you think you can go ahead and just put this out there without being called out for your bullshit? And here's the other thing, okay? As if Adam Rosenberg, oh my God, major moviegoer, you're going to spend so much money going to the movie theaters. Listen to him and the fucking Karen that he is. If Regal and AMC want to court my business, and hopefully yours as well, they'll embrace common sense. Shut down concession stands, station employees in theaters with the night vision goggles they use to deter bootleggers, and embrace a zero tolerance policy for people who refuse to wear masks. What the fuck is that? We're going to police people in the theater. By the way, you do know, Adam, that like police officers, security, they do run into the building, okay? And by the way, they also have the staff that goes around with lights. They actually do follow along, and they actually observe every theater. But you wouldn't know that because you don't go to the movie theaters. I already know you don't. You put this out as a full hit piece. That's what you did. That's what you wanted to do. Just cop up to it. You know you did. You know you did it. Now, I just read this for the first time, so yeah, some of this pissed me off, but I already know that you really don't care. You don't care about the movie theaters. You don't care about the people that go to the movies. You probably don't even have friends that go to the movies. You probably stay home and watch Netflix because you're not willing to go and spend the money for it. First of all, if you work for Mashable, you probably don't make enough money, or maybe you make enough money, but you probably put it towards something else. Okay, maybe you're not the kind of person that goes to movie theaters, but obviously you have a problem with masks, and that, I don't know what to tell you about that. That's your problem. He says your better bet is to just skip theaters entirely until this pandemic is more under control. Drive-in theaters is bringing up. Okay, so we're working for Walmart and we're working for the drive-in theaters. Okay. The movies will still be there when this is all over. Yeah, if we're listening to you, you're causing the risk of making movie theaters go away. Okay? Because the movie theaters are going to shut themselves down. But of course, that's what you want, Adam. You know, I don't like putting this kind of commentary out here. And obviously, the other reason is because you don't offer comments in your stories. I noticed that. Well, I know how you actually work now. You don't want to do anything. You just want to go ahead and put out a hit piece right here. So obvious. So obvious. This is what you decided to do. You don't want to talk about the defogging. You don't want to talk about the extra measures that the theaters are doing to kind of get themselves ready to go. They waited till August. Okay? In California, I don't even think movie theaters will be available to be open. There are still some states that don't even have a phase open for movie theaters to be open yet. So this is what you're saying. Again, lack of context, horrible journalism, fuck off, Adam. Seriously, with a cherry on top, fuck off.